Today, I would like to report from part of my homeland, Croatian Dalmatia, about something that touches our lives here in Australia, and world in general too. There have been terrible fires happening there. Pictures from my beautiful coastal land are devastating. I believe we need to understand the past in order to build a stable and kinder present and future. And there is so much to learn from our ancestors. There are lots of fires going on in the whole Mediterranean right now. Some people believe it's because of CO2 caused climate change. Some believe deliberate harmful practices are at work, like weather modification and harmful chemical chemtrail spraying. What we are disagreeing about really is only how it is done. We all agree on one thing though. Deliberate malicious damage is happening, and we are arguing about it because we would like it to stop. We all are looking for causes because we care. And that matters. As we say at Balkans, the underlying principle is the same. Everything else is a detail. But the thing is, in Dalmatia and other parts of the Mediterranean coast, for what we are experiencing today started thousands of years ago, long before burning gas and weather modification technology. We have devastating fires like that in abundance in Australia too. Some are part of a natural cleansing process needed for the land to recover, I would say. Others are caused by malicious practices. And this is why the Dalmatian story matters for us here on these shores. You may know the Croatian coast by its typical rocky karst and its aromatic pine trees. Yes, it's beautiful, I know, but it was not always like that. Dalmatia once upon a time was covered by dense oak forests. Oak in our Slavic Illyrian traditions was the most sacred tree, something like Eywa in Avatar movie. Big, old, magnificent oaks were trees of our ancestors' souls. Axis Mundi, axis of the world, tree of life, connector of earthly and divine. It was considered to have a healthy male energy. Our ancestors would gather underneath sacred oaks. They were often positioned in the middle of the village. They would perform ceremonies deeply connected to the rhythms of the land and the true divine. They celebrated and talked to trees. That was the lifestyle in our world before Romans, cults, and Christianity. Oak provided shade, excellent, very durable wood, and food. And our ancestors knew how to harvest properly without causing imbalance. When agriculture started, they built what we call dry walls around their crops, one of the reasons being to prevent the uncontrolled spread of fire. Some walls are still standing today, and they are thousands of years old. They are built only by stacking rocks, with no glue or cement-like materials in between. The winds in those places can be really wild, yet they still stand. Just pointing out how knowledgeable, sustainable, and caring our ancestors were. And then everything changed. First, Romans came. They took over lands, people, and sacred oaks. They cut them down in enormous amounts to support their imperial growth and punished traditional owners if they would cut down trees on their own properties. Punishments were really rigorous. If you look into today's history books, they say Romans were first and excellent in forest management. This is how the winners create history, as Winston Churchill famously said. And then, like that was not bad enough, Venetians came. They took it all to build the city on the sand and water. An Atlantis wet dream, I would say. Venice stands on our sacred oaks. The technique they used to build Venice was that they turned trunks upside down. They literally called it an upside-down forest. It is just like the upside-down society we live in, and the upside-down values and ways of living we keep living to this day. Again, just like Romans, they protected oaks. Under Venetian rule, a farmer would cut tree on his own land that could bring severe punishment, including heavy fines, imprisonment, exile, forced service on the galleys, and even the death penalty. Only the Church of Santa Maria della Salute stands on 1,100,000 sacred oaks. Now imagine how many are underneath the whole of Venice. And that was not enough. They used our oaks for their enormously big sea fleets too. because our oak was durable, but it also had the capacity to bend. Imagine how devastating that was for our cultures and lands. It's cynically funny that it was Italians who gave us Slavs the name schiavi, or slaves. And today's English word slave comes from Slav. In our language, Slav means to celebrate, because we were a nation who celebrated the sacredness of life under our sacred oak trees, together with our ancestors from other naked eye invisible worlds joining in. Can you see now why I am saying we live in an upside down world? So they took the sacred oaks. Unprotected ground was literally bared to the bones by erosion. Once fertile lands turned into what we see today as typical karst landscapes. Then the Austro-Hungarians came. They thought it might be a good idea to plant forest again, but they planted alpine pine. Now alpine pine is rich in essential oils and resin, just like our bush and forests in Australia. They burn fast and intensely, and this is what we see in Dalmatia today. The disappearance of oaks did not just change the ground, cultures, and ways of living, but also the climate. We have long, dry summers now, and those landscapes have for many centuries been very flammable torches. Sacred lands all around the world experienced and is still experiencing degradation of the sacredness of landscapes and native culture in so many ways. Colonialism today is much more sophisticated and many times hides behind a "because we care" mask, just like Romans and Venetians once claimed they cared for our oaks and took our role of their custodians and protectors, only to erase them from existence. The underlying principle is the same. Everything else is a detail. And why does this matter for us today? And channel that talks about New Earth. Because New Earth is not something, I believe, that will pop up miraculously one day, when we all wake up into a nice and dandy, ever after, fifth dimension happy ending. It starts with remembering the sacredness of life, the importance of connecting with the old knowledge our ancestors had and lived by, and bringing those sacred natural practices back to our lives. And this is why, at this point, it is important to gather in sacred places, enter and behave respectfully, and listen deeply. Because those places are our Axis Mundi now. They are opening and sharing sacred knowledge and memories as we speak, singing sacred songlines out. Just yesterday, I visited one of my favorite ones here in southwestern Australia. A perfect sunny day, and life conspiring in a synchronistic way to get my attention and make me listen. Whales, coastal eagles, ancestors, rocks, flowers, trees. They are all working hard to get us to remember. They deserve our attention. Join us on this Sacred New Earth channel, and we will reclaim our sacredness together.